morning, everyone.
That's why, we've got to really. Good morning.
Hello, ladies. How are
Move the
you?
chair.
I put mine down. I have to put my feet on the ground.
I thought you were trying to get higher so I could see you.
No, don't be
Hey,
hey. It's always a challenge when you're short.
But you're mighty. That's right.
Short and mighty, is that what it is? I guess. Sometimes.
Oh,
Most
not
of the
quite.
time, not all the
Got
time.
mighty beetle legs.
Yeah. So, shall I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Short and old, I have to put on my readers now. This is a routine thing for me, so. I'm gonna start with I have to put this down to talk. The November, December data report.
Okay.
And so I didn't see anything change-wise in the Public Assistance Division on page 1. So I don't know if you had questions, but our numbers have been pretty consistent with, yep. And then on page 2 for our net transportation program, we talked about that as a Medicaid pass-through program. We're seeing some Emerald taking on some more trips from November to December, so that's always positive, from 117 to 211. And then the rest of the areas, as far as our customer service center or overpayment department, again, pretty consistent numbers. You're gonna see some increases in benefit recovery, and that's when we overpay public welfare benefits to clients to which they weren't entitled. So now that tax returns are coming, that area will intercept some tax returns to get some of those monies back. So you'll see those numbers in like February and March. Moving then on to page 3, which is our High Means Jobs Division. I did not have significant changes there. I did want to clarify, and we'll reword it. Commissioner Tony, specifically for you if you have questions. There's a line that says total number of customers receiving unemployment, and that's not county unemployment numbers. Those are the people that are being seen at Ohio Means Jobs, and they're reporting that they're on unemployment. So it's 102 is just for the center and not the county. And again, I didn't have any additional changes there. Commissioner, you had asked about the virtual job fair last time I was here. And so there were 9 employers that participated in that back in the spring of last year, and we sent out surveys to all. We did get 5 surveys completed. The original surveys that came back didn't have data on people that reported back to them. And then we did another follow-up. We just had 1 employer report back that they heard from somebody from the virtual job fair. So at the very least, they got information during the fair, but the follow-up wasn't successful. So we'll keep trying in that space, but I wanted to make sure you had that data. And so the Impact Program is the program that we're working with obligors in the Child Support Division. That division continues to, or that area continues to grow. You see a number of participants employed and engaged. It says new data collection, so you're gonna see that on a monthly basis as far as child support obligors, who's getting employment. We're cold calling them, we're asking them to come in for sessions, so that data will be visible to you in the next months.
And is this what replaced like the passages program?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Work experience programs, again, still consistent numbers. On page 5 for our CCMEP program, that's the program that works with 14 to 24-year-olds. Our numbers continue to be consistent, growing a little bit. Before the pandemic, we were at like 240 young people, so we did see a dip because young people weren't being involved. So we're hoping that's going to grow. Under new leadership at this state, they're looking to rename that program. So more to come in that space as far as CCMEP. That was Governor Kasich's, one of his projects that he brought to Ohio. And then moving on to Children's Services, which is page 6. As far as total children in custody at the end of December, we had 240 young people. As of Monday, we have 201. The numbers, though, are consistent as far as kids in residential treatment facilities there. We did add 2 categories on the bottom of this, and it's going to tie into a flyer that I also provided in my packet. We have licensed foster homes in Portage County. Currently, we have 46, and we have 11 pending. The number's a bit misleading because of the licensed homes we have. Only about 28 of them are currently accepting kids, and most of them are full. People were reserved in taking youth during the pandemic, and most of our foster homes now want children under 5. So that always provides a challenge to us because we have teenagers, and that's one of the reasons we opened the group home too, is we knew that they were harder to place. So I'll talk to you about the new initiative, but I just wanted to clear up that data. And then child support, consistent numbers. As of the end of December, staff numbers 191. Traditionally, or when we were full staff, we were at 200. I think we're at 187 now, so we have about 13 less staff than we had because of the hiring freeze. All my papers. So, any questions on the data report? Great. And then the flyer that you all have in the packet, you probably have a black and white, but it's blue. We are going to move forward with a new foster parent recruitment initiative. We talked about it last year. Again, the pandemic hindered some of it. But we're going to offer in-person and virtual information sessions throughout the year. So you see April, June, September, November. Kim has drafted a press release that you'll see for your approval in the next day or so. We really want to entice Portage County residents to open up their hearts to foster parenting. So in these sessions, we might have some of our young people come and talk about their experiences, maybe encourage some of our current foster parents to talk about positive experiences. So looking at some billboard campaigns, we have foster parent recruitment funds from the state. All 88 counties do. So we have a pot of money we're able to use for that. So we really want to encourage our kids to continue to be placed in Portage County when at all possible.
You know, I love your quote.
Kim found that quote. Yeah, wonderful quote. Questions on that initiative?
No, I think it's great, and you know, I have seen billboards that, like when I'm traveling Stark or Summit,
Yeah.
so I know there's a desperate desire and need
Yeah.
for foster care.
We used one 2 years ago, and it's a teenager, and it says, "I'm not too old," and it was also "I'm not too old to be adopted too." But we really need local placements for kiddos, most specifically young female teenagers. So we're just going to put a lot of weight behind it, and we're going to get some people licensed, more people. Certainty grant. So our $1.4 million loss, which now is $1.9 million loss with Protect Ohio. We anticipated starting to receive those monthly allocations in January, as advised by the state, to make up for the loss for that 1 year, if you recall. And we expected to get like around $100,000 in January, $100,000 in February. Well, we didn't get January. We didn't get February, and Sue emailed the state just as recent as this week, and they said that they've outreached to their federal partners and haven't heard. So we're just on hold as far as those funds coming to us. But I just wanted to give you an update that while we anticipated it, it didn't happen. We are really blessed, though, that our tax monies are coming in from our Portage County residents, so that's been keeping us afloat. But want to keep you posted on this as far as what's going on in that space. And then our levy, we have a number now. We're number 1. So our new May levy, Children's Services is number 1. We put kids first. We're going to have another committee meeting after hours today to try to finalize our slogan. But again, if that's passed, that would generate about $1.9 million new dollars for Children's Services. That would be such a blessing for our division. And so we're going to just, again, all of the divisions are wrapping around this initiative. We really need to get the word out and educate the Portage County residents of what has happened with Children's Services and why the need is there. And so I also outreach to the Record Courier, and they're going to come and do a story in late March with us. So that'll be good to put attention
So
on.
that passes, there'd almost be a break even from what you're delinquent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. So just an update, but we're number 1. Really excited also, this is just an update that we're now participating. This is our 2nd semester with Kent State, the College of Business Administration. Last semester, they participated in 3 projects with 3 of our divisions. Mandy's OMJ with the Go Forward initiative. They worked with Children's Services, and they also worked with the group home. So they're gonna do it again. We're gonna establish a community garden with the group home, and so our Shrewsbury family, for whom we leased the group home from, has given us permission to put a community garden on that land. And so just an exciting new initiative with Kent State. Dr. Poor is the dean, and he wants us to continue on throughout the year, so we're really excited about that. So I just wanted to update you on that. And then we are going to embark on our third round of interest-based bargaining negotiations with AFSCME 1696. So we have our 4 sessions set up, April 5th, April 21st, May 19th, and June 25th. So as you know, we only finalized a 1-year contract last year. There were no financials in that contract because of Children's Services. So, you know, our hopes are that the levy passes too, and when we go into negotiations or halfway through, that we can offer some increases to our staff, which none of us, you know, received this year. So, questions on that interest-based bargaining? I have a typo on the prosecutor's memo, and so I want, if I could give that to you, and we pass it over.
Or you can give it to Tony, I'll give it.
Okay. I had way too many numbers on one of the lines, like $3 trillion, but.
I think the accountant's trying to go, what are you talking about?
So our current contract with the prosecutor's office annual stands at $343,773.42. When we were reviewing recent invoices for fourth quarter for payment processing, we identified payroll increases of $3,721.08. So therefore, we would have to present to you an amendment of the contract to be able to increase that, to be able to cover that cost. So if you support that, then the contract would go through Joanne and be presented to you as all our contracts do, but I just wanted to give you an update on that.
Okay.
Good? If I could get my bearings together to get my rent chicken scratch. It's not a formal document, it's a lot of notes, so if I could just push things away. So, topic on rent, I think over the, over the last 6.5, 7 years that I've been here, I know I've always broached the topic of rent to commissioners over time, and at one point, we looked at a different facility. We did a study and we looked at a different facility with the hopes that we could get staff together. But I think we've really settled in right now that we're in the buildings that we're in. But I wanted to give some history and then provide to you some 3 asks or requests for consideration. So because of the pandemic, as you know, all departments did, but Portage County Job and Family Services, we activated our COOP plan, Continuity of Operation Plan, on March 16th. That was a result of COVID. And so at that time, we maintained 38 employees physically in our buildings, and 145 of them went home to telework. And that was, you know, with the support of the commissioners, but also Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. We had to take all the equipment into homes. And so it was just that moving forward. We weren't sure if it was a week, if it was a month, if it was 2 months. And then in consult with Gene Roberts in June, he had advised that a journal entry had passed. You all know this, but and that the Board of Commissioners had decided to keep the buildings closed through December 31st. So that was end of June into July. And so for that, we have paid rent in the administration building through July. And we kind of froze in that space. And then unbeknownst to me, our accountants did pay all of the rent in 2020 for the Riddle Block. So that's been paid. But I come before you and ask if there would be consideration that you look at the amount of space we actually occupied in the buildings during that period and be open to a credit in 2020 as a result of that. So we, not looking before June because we were in influx, but from June to December, would ask that you would consider that. So we looked at space from a percentage. We actually had our clerical person, who used to be a maintenance person, measure the space that we actually occupied, these 30+ staff. And it correlates to about 14%. So we occupied about 14% of our space as opposed to 86%. And we have numbers, and that we just didn't bring a full report. We wanted to broach the topic with you. So again, I would ask for your consideration to reduce our rent in 2020 based on the occupied space amount. And then that, if approved, that we be issued a credit for the months that we paid for which we were not fully occupying the space. So I have like 3 different sections. I don't know if you want me to pause and then go to the second one and then pause and go to the third one, or just keep running and then open
You
it
can
up.
keep going.
Just keep going.
Do you
Okay.
have numbers that go with these?
Oh, we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's in chicken scratch. Again, we didn't put it in
Yeah,
a
that's
report. So, but definitely from a overpaid standpoint, we identified that we overpaid in admin about $30,625, and then the Riddle Block $55,132. So that's section 1. And so Maximus is the company that Portage County is contracted with for the cost allocation plan. And so we don't have the 2021 leases out or ready or prepared at this point. So the second section relates to the cost allocation plan. And so if and when that's developed, one consideration I wanted to ask of, in light of the Children's Services financial situation, would the Board of Commissioners consider giving us grace and not paying any rent in 2021 because of Children's Services for the admin building alone, not the Riddle Block? So that's kind of my second pause and put that out there. The third one, if that would not be an option, we did some measurements in hallways in the admin building specifically. And so our hallways on the second and third floor are about 7 feet wide. And the average business kind of hallway space when you're looking at businesses outside of a hospital setting are about 3 feet wide. So again, if one, which would be a wonderful ask, would not be considered, we'd like to reduce our square footage because there's some dead space that we occupy in the second and third floor in this building. So again, you can't do anything with that extra
Yeah.
4 foot of hallway.
But you guys do use it for storage, and I see you have copiers in some of the hallways.
There's a few of them have copiers.
Because, it's hard to break down hallway space, and you're the only ones going down to that end, correct? There's no one else in the hallways? Is it just for JFS's use?
The 7 foot hallways are just JFS use.
That's just the building.
Okay.
It's the
Okay.
building. It's the
My
building.
question is, have you looked at any other business that what you just asked for would be viable? In any business at all? That there are a lot of companies, but, let me go backward. You talked about federal law, state being able to say, hey, our people can work at home. Is that going forward?
I would love it to
People
go
can-
forward.
I know you would
Oh.
like to. You said federal and state are looking at doing that, being able to work not in the office, but you'd have your walk-ins or,
Yeah.
is that going to happen? Or we don't know?
We do know, and so I have also, I didn't come today prepared to talk about that, but I do have a letter from the president of the ODJFS Association that talks about the new initiatives for the state, so I would like to present that to you. And there are counties that are still teleworking now,
Right.
and so they're still gonna have to present to their Board of Commissioners on what the future looks like, but it's being considered.
Okay, so it's not approved. The initiative means we're thinking about it.
It's still in existence in some of the counties.
Yeah, because they haven't opened the building. So my question is that in the sphere of people that I know that have businesses,
Sure.
that you are, I rented a space of 10,000 square feet because I had 300 employees
Right.
working there. The pandemic hit. I don't believe there's anybody that I've heard of said, hey, your rent we forgive your rent. You got jobs and family services,
Yeah.
I know you guys are a little bit, we forgive the rent we're only using a third of what you rented us. That means as soon as I do that, that space is eligible to be leased to somebody else if we were to do that. So you could feasibly lose that before that
Sure enough.
initiative becomes,
Yeah.
becomes that. So, I mean, I get the ask, and I understand Jobs and Family Services and the financial crisis, but reality is, that probably would not happen in any other business that I could think of.
No, and I completely agree with you on that. On the other end of the spectrum, again, years ago, we were given permission to look at an alternative space for
Mhm.
Job and Family. And we did that, and we came back and presented that proposal to the board at that time, where we looked at more open space where we could utilize cubicles and really maximize, and then the commissioners did not make a decision on that. So ultimately, I would love to find a space where exactly what you said, that we would maintain it and that we could maximize hallways and those things and use cubicles as opposed to, it's just very awkward, especially in this building, to be able to make necessary adjustments for staffing levels.
But you know
So,
what, Kelly Jo, it's by the grace of God, we didn't purchase that building, cause now we'd have a big space sitting empty. I mean, and we'd still be paying for it, and there'd be, you know, if we would've bought the Tops building, and you've got people off-site, is sort of what Tony's saying, it's sort of a blessing we didn't buy it, because
that would have been a cost savings for us from a rent if we would have bought it that several years ago with what we
yeah,
had
but now you're
presented.
saying you don't need as much space, so how would we?
No, we need it now unless you all, of
Unless the
course.
initiative.
Unless-
Absolutely.
Unless
Unless the
initiative,
initiative,
no
but if
Then
the
we wouldn't
initiative
need
goes through,
Yeah.
we
We
would've
would
been
be
stuck with a
stuck,
big,
a big
huge
old
building.
Absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, if the
It's a
initiative goes
blessing we
through,
didn't move on that.
if the
because-
initiative goes through, absolutely, this could be a central home space for us,
Yeah.
and then we would be able to work with the space that's been allotted to us.
Because this goes government, what do we think an initiative means? This year, next year, 5 years from now?
I can present it next month, and if
No,
you
not-
support it.
No.
oh.
You have an initiative from the state, and that initiative would affect you and how you operate there. So not what you want, what is the initiative that you're saying that the state says, hey, that's a really good idea. 3/4 of your people can work at home and we have a 1/4% or a third here.
So they've supported that.
But they have their initiative. They've supported it, but nobody's made it official.
Well, they leave it up to the county commissioners, the areas, to make the final decision,
I
so
didn't hear
that,
that before.
yeah, they won't dictate, it's up to each commissioner
It's
body.
okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So the county commissioners, once they give the okay, we can say, all right, leave 2/3 of your people home, have 1/3 of your people in the office.
absolutely.
You know, Kelly Jo, you brought up before how other counties handle rent with JFS. Would you go over that again for Tony's?
Yes, and I actually have like 6 directors provided, and I didn't come prepared for this discussion, but I have inquired, so it varies again from county
We
to
talked
county.
about that the very first day we met.
We did,
Yeah.
so I can throw like Licking County out just as an example, because it's a great example for me to give, but then I can give you Mahoning, which is a bad example, but Licking County has about 160,000 residents, similar to ours. They have 4 divisions just like us. They pay no rent to their Board of Commissioners. They pay maintenance and those kinds of fees. Their building is owned, so the commissioners have decided to not allow them to pay rent. On the other end of the spectrum, we have Mahoning County, bigger county than ours. I don't even have the demographics. They pay about $500,000 in rent. So it varies from county to county.
Yeah.
It is up to the Board of Commissioners to assign or not assign rent based on what all you decide, but it does vary. A few of the counties said we pay minimal, thousands a year, and some have said, 100,000, 150, 500 was the
And you
biggest.
know the total that you paid here?
I'll defer to Susie's accurate numbers.
360 plus 81 is 441, and then I didn't bring the annex, that was like 30-some thousand. So without the annex, about $441,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that
a
is-
little less.
That's utilities and maintenance included.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's everything.
So that's everything.
That's
So-
Well, that's not our indirect costs, that's just our rent. Our indirect costs, we pay another $250,000.
But the indirect cost portion is for like the auditor and whatnot. What we
Right.
call your rent includes the
Utilities, you don't pay utility bills.
Except-
Correct.
So what's the,
So
what's
we-
the 250, what's the 254?
That's our indirect cost that we pay for all the other county
The services?
services,
It's
yeah.
just like
Is
if they
that-
use some payroll, et
Yeah,
Yeah, it
cetera.
might actually be
Yeah.
280, I don't have the number
So,
right off the top
so,
of my head.
so I get confused easily. So we have 470,000 that we say is rent, that includes maintenance and utilities.
Yeah, it's just one.
Yes, okay, so one,
Mhm,
so.
one number.
Some maintenance, because we have our own maintenance person too, so it's, that piece is shared.
So,
Yeah.
so the
Yeah.
question would be, is if I have 470,000 for rent, that is $50,000 for electrical a year, and then $10,000 for maintenance a year. So to break down, right? So I mean, whatever those numbers are.
It's all inclusive, is that what you're saying?
Correct, but
Yeah.
you'd have to break it down to rent.
We actually have
to-
it broken down.
Yeah, you do, Todd has that, he
Yeah,
should, his head, yes.
absolutely.
Okay, all right,
Okay,
that's all I have.
anything else?
Well, other than I'm asking for consideration,
What were the three things? I have two. Was the square footage reduced, the third thing?
the first
Yeah.
one was reduction because of out of the building. The
The credit for
second one was,
2020.
was no rent in 2021, you know, and laid, just for the admin building. And then the third one was a reduction in square footage
Okay,
based on hallways. That was just
Okay.
specific to hallways.
right, thank you.
Okay.
So will there be a follow-up, could I ask, from Todd or?
Yeah, we'll have to think about it
Yeah.
and discuss it and see.
Yeah, and then maybe come back for that answer?
Yeah.
Would be yes.
Okay, will you just give me an idea when it's a good time to come back? I don't wanna pester you guys
On a
either.
Thursday.
Okay, I'll come back on a Thursday.
All
Okay?
right,
Sorry.
thank you.
Oh, Sue has a
Yeah, I
resolution,
just have
I'm
one
sorry.
Resolution.
Yep, I just have a regular shared resolution, for the third payment, for fourth quarter, in the amount of 175 for children's services to, public assistance.
It is moved to transfer the fund from Fund 1415, Child Welfare Special Levy Funds, Fund 1410, Public Assistance Funds.
Second?
Okay, roll call, Tony,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Sabrina.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank
you.
Good
one. Oh, are we?
Yep, you're good. Thank you. Maybe, can drive.